Hello and welcome everyone to yet another video where today we're going to be solving a very simple question. We're going to try to find out all the missing numbers in a sorted array, right? So, of course, efficiency and concise and good logics has always been our has always been our agenda. So, we'll take it in that step, in that direction only. So, of course, there's a lot of logics that you can implement, but we'll try to figure it out, like I said, in a little more enhanced manner. Let's say I have this array that is 1, 2, 4, 9, 10, and of course, as always, if I could write. Let's say I have 15, and let's say I have 20, right? Now, if you see the missing numbers that we have are 3 over here, 5, 6, 7, 8 over here, 11, 12, 13, 14 here, 16, 17, 18, 19 over here, right? So we're going to be using these numbers, right? The array that we have as our input. We're going to be using the numbers of that array as indexes for our new array against which we're going to be finding out all the missing numbers. So let's say against this, I try to create a new array. Now, creating this new array can have multiple approaches depending on what language you are using. Because let's say if I create a new array with Java, it automatically polyfills that array with zeros. JavaScript does not. C++ also fills it with zero. So because we're gonna be using JavaScript, of course, like I use JavaScript, so we're gonna be using because this is a sorted array. So I know for a fact that the last number is always going to be my the number of missing numbers, it can never exceed this, right? So I'll be using this as a reference to the length of my new array. So let's say I have an array that is 20 in length. I am gonna of course polyfill it with zeros, right? So when we iterate over this one, I'll be using 1 as the index, right? So let's say it has zeros, it has zeros, it has zeros, so on, so on, so on, up until the last zero, right? So once I get this number, which is 1, I'll update the index number 1 of this array and I'll update it with 1, right? We'll use 1 as the flag to represent that yes, this number exists in the original array, right? If I talk about 2, then this is going to be index number 2. So I'll update this with 1. Similarly, index number 3 is going to be 0. Index number 4 is also going to be 0. And once I have 4, I'll update it with 1, right? So in the end, once I iterate, of course, from the first index, because the 0th index is always going to be 0, and depending on, let's say, if this array does not have 0, it starts off from 1, right? So the 0th index makes no sense, right? So I'll start off my iteration for this new array from the first index, I'll go up until the last, and whichever index is 0, it means that number was not there in the original array, right? And hence it is a missing number, right? Simple enough, decent enough. The code is also going to be really sweet, really concise, right? So let's get to that part, right? Okay, I already have an array initialized. Let's say 1, 2, 3, let's say 5, 8, 12, 17, 22, and let's say 25, right? Now I'm going to create a new array. Let's call it missing because, of course, it's going to contain all of our missing numbers. It's going to be a new array. We create a new array with the new keyword, right? If we hover, it says it takes array length as a number. So that's going to be the last index, that is a dot length minus 1, right? It's going to be a dot length minus 1. Okay, no, it's going to be a at a dot length minus 1. So length minus 1 would give us this index, which is 25. Sorry, it's gonna give me this index, which is gonna be in this case 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A at 8, 25, right? I'm gonna fill this with zeros, right? Just to be absolutely sure. Now if I let's say log this missing array, I do node index. So yeah, I have an array that is filled with zeros, right? Now, simple as that, we're gonna iterate over each element of our input, which is gonna be the number, right? And like I said, this number is going to act as my index for this. So missing at num equals 1, which was a flag, right? At this point of time, if I let's say log our missing array, it becomes 0 1 1 1, right? So like we discussed, if I omit the first 0, I have 1 1 1, which means I have 1 2 3, right? Because this is index 2, this is index number 3. So it means that 1 2 3 were in our array. Yes, they were. The fourth index is 0, which means 4 is not in our array, right? Which is of course the fact, 4 is not in our input. So that's a solution right there in front of us. I'll do, I'll have a standard for loop. Let's start off this with 1. It goes up to missing.len, increment our counter. If I say if missing at I equals 0, it's simply gonna have console log I, which is basically that index and hence the missing number, right? So if I clear this out, node, okay, that's our list right there. If you see, we have 4, 6, 7, 9, 10, so on and so forth. Those are our missing numbers, right? Yes, of course, we can, also um, go, let's say, let missing array, right? I can have this with this, and I can, missing array. I can push these elements into that. So instead of singular numbers, we have a whole array that holds those data points for us. And if I in the end log our missing array, it's of course gonna give me that information in an array format this time. So yes, there we go. Like I said, optimized, simple, sober answers, as always, which is our motivation, which is our endpoint. There we go. And I think I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.